Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 100. My name is Craig Prowse, and joining me is the man that made it to the end with me, Manager Montemayor.
I never thought we'd ever make it past 2.
Those are the rough days. You go back and watch some of those old 1 through 10s. It was like, I was wondering if we'd ever get past I don't want to call it a hump, but at least figure out what our show is and was and what it was going to be. And I got to say, up to by the time now that we're at 100, I think we've got a pretty good grasp on it, and I really like the way the show's evolved, man. It's been really fun.
I just like to set the bar low so that way when we exceed and do better, it feels great. So I'm like, okay, cool. 100, man, it feels great.
100, yeah. So we got to say, guys, without you, we couldn't be here with episode 100. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
more than
super
anything.
Exciting that Andrew and I made it to 100. If there's any luck in this world,
technically
we'll do more.
101 because we have the one unaired episode with Nick Stump, but
and maybe he'll come back and he'll remedy that, and we can get his thoughts on it. But yeah, we just want to give a quick moment to give you guys the shout out that we wouldn't be doing episode 100 if it wasn't for people watching it, liking it, and giving us their time of day. So I gotta say, hey, kudos to you.
Thank you.
But if you guys are new to the show, we'd like to take a quick minute to just get you to like the video, leave a comment if you can, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you guys would like to, you guys can follow us on all the social medias that you see pop up. Andrew and I try to post as often as we can on Twitter and Instagram and things like that. And if you're listening to the audio-only version of this podcast, do us a favor and just leave us a review. Whether it's good or bad, preferably good. It's just the more people write on it, the more algorithm kicks in, and the more we can find a bigger, broader audience. So by the time we hit 200 episodes, we've got our nice audience stacked and doubled.
We're going to have 200 episodes with 5 more subscribers.
Oh, I don't like that. So, guys, we like to drink on these episodes, and today is the special occasion. So, Andrew and I
can't wait for you to try to pronounce it.
Oh, no, I made sure I looked it up. So, we went out and got some champagne. It was the closest thing to a $100 bottle I could find. I got to say, it's actually really tasty stuff, and it's definitely French. It's Veuve, Clicquot, Champagne, and it is a 12% alcohol. It's categorized as an official French champagne, and it is made in Reims, France, if I'm saying that correct or not. But yeah, when I looked it up on Google, there's a thing that lets you help translate it just to pronunciate it right. And yeah, it's Veuve, Clicquot, Champagne.
I was waiting for you to be because I know you just rewatched Futurama, Zap Brannigan, where he's like, I'm a connoisseur, so it's a little bit of the champagne.
Yeah, great stuff. So Andrew, what do you think of this? Because I'm told that if it's French, then it's official champagne instead of just being sparkling fucking whatever. Sparkling wine.
I don't know. There's days where I do like champagne and days where I don't. I feel like this is a day where I don't, but I'm still going to drink it nonetheless.
Yeah, we got it on ice here, so, maybe we can fill up on a cup or two of the bubbly. So if you guys are drinking at home, drink along with us, and, if you can, why don't pop a bottle of good old-fashioned champagne.
If you do that, go ahead and send that to us, because that'd be cool.
So, Andrew and I, before we dive into our main story, we like to do what's called What Are You Up To?, where we take a minute to go over what we've been playing, what we've been watching, if we've got any trips planned or anything like that. So, Andrew, why don't you tell everybody, what are you up to?
Craig, I'd like to go first.
Oh, thank you.
I actually just watched Wonder Woman 84. I know they had taken it off of HBO Max for a while and then put it back up. I actually really liked it, and I like what they do with the characters, and I really liked Maxwell Lord, who's played by, oh man, I can't even think of his name.
I haven't seen number 2 yet, so I don't even know who's in that cast.
The Mandalorian. I can't think of his name. Pedro Pascal.
Oh, Pedro Pascal's in that?
Yeah, dude, he's totally great. He's my favorite part of the movie. I think he's the best part of the movie. I thought it was a little kind of weaker in the first half, and I don't know if it's maybe because I feel like it's a little over the top with the 80s aesthetics and stuff like that with some of the things they're doing and some of the direction. But by the second half, though, I was like, or towards the middle in the second half, I was like, okay, this movie's great. It's really cool. Definitely not as good as the first one, but the first one was pretty amazing movie, so kind of hard to top. As far as anything else goes, I actually beat Yakuza 5 on my journey. I'm halfway through Yakuza 6 now. I just purchased Judgment because it was on sale for $28 versus $40. Knowing my luck, they'll probably add it to the Game Pass here shortly, and I won't be able to get my money back, but I'm cruising through them. At this rate, I'm so far ahead of schedule to where I thought I would be. I think I'm actually going to take my time with Judgment and actually do like the full-blown 50-hour, do all the side missions, do all the stuff I normally did for all the other ones. But I'm loving Yakuza 6 right now. I think it's great. Yakuza 5 was really, really good, and I was like, damn, I haven't had a bad one in the series yet. The lowest one was just like, okay, it's just a good game, but it's not great. But 6 is totally bringing it back for me. Like, I am loving this game already so far that I'm back into where, like, I can't wait to keep playing, not so I can be finished, but because I want to know what's going on with this story. What are you up to?
So what I've been up to is still watching Big Bang on season 8. No, nothing new there. But I decided to give...
What is that on? Because I've been wanting to watch it.
HBO Max. I've been doing a lot of stuff on HBO Max lately, except for actually the most recent thing. But
the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. HBO Max is where it's at now, especially because that's where you watch Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
So Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is the new He-Man show that was on Netflix that was being ran by Kevin Smith. It's got like a 5.0 on IMDb.
I heard it got dog.
Most places I'm looking at, this place, it's getting some shit reviews. So I was hesitant jumping in, but I heard
it's good though.
Yeah, it's only 5 episodes, 25 minutes apiece. So I'm like, okay, it can't be that long. And then I find out that it's called season 1, but really it's, from what I was gathering, it's part 1. So there's going to be another part to it. Now whether or not they call that season 2, I don't know. But so like I said, it got a lot of shit reviews, and the biggest complaint is that there's no He-Man in it. And I'm like, okay, so let me see what that means. Let me watch 5 episodes and see what no He-Man means. Once you start watching it and understand what the story is, you're like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense. Well,
it sounds like it's setting up the universe.
Well, there's lack there of He-Man because I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was almost like, well, this is like kind of the Superman conundrum. You can have a story in Superman's world, but if Superman's there, then there's no real conflict. He solves everything. And what they did is they found out a clever way to remove Superman, so, He-Man, and now you get all these other characters to shine. Like Tila, who's voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar, and like Evil Lynn, who's voiced by Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. Like, you get to see these other characters shine, and it's more about their quest on what they need to do to save Eternia. And He-Man's still in it, but it's not a He-Man episode-by-episode show, so I get where people were complaining about, but I like the story, man. I really dig the art style. So if anyone wants to check it out, I recommend it. I thought one of the steals of the show was this. The names are all weird and shitty because I never really watched He-Man as a kid. But Man at Arms is done by Liam Cunningham, who is Davos in Game of Thrones. Yeah. He's got like that nice iconic voice. Justin Long, who I'm not a super fan of, is Roboto, but he sounds just like Robot from Invincible. That was done by Zachary Quintanato or whatever his name is.
Quinto.
And then Mark Hamill as Skeletor, which I thought was going to be really, really cool. And there's a version that you get to hear of Skeletor later that's awesome. But every time Mark Hamill does kind of like that evil voice, you can hear Joker. And that's just one of the things where I'm like, I can still hear Joker's voice in the hit. And that kind of throws me off here and there. But other than that, man, I thought the show was quite well. Do you plan on watching it at all?
I probably will watch it, but you know what's kind of funny that you bring up Mark Hamill? Because actually in the first Yakuza, when they did the English dub, he does one of the main like kind of bad guys, Goro Majima, and he kind of does, and the dude is already like a crazy off the Hamill guy. It's just Joker.
Yeah, because even like he's in Darksiders, he sounds like that character sounds like Joker. The only one I thought maybe he had a far stretch from was when he does Firelord Ozai.
But you can still kind of hear it. I was just thinking Ozai.
But you can still hear it because he kind of does darker. So that's what I've been watching, and I actually think it's quite good, even though Kevin Smith got shit on. The other thing I just saw, which I won't dive into, was Suicide Squad. I'm just going to say that this is a great movie. Like, whether or not you like the old one, love it or hate it, this is the movie to watch. It is fantastic. I mean, bodies start dropping pretty much the moment the movie starts. And John Cena, love him or hate him, dude, is fucking hilarious.
I think he looks great in the movie. At first, I thought it was going to be the worst part, but the more trailers I saw, dude, I was like, no, he's fucking hilarious. Like, he's so funny.
He's too funny. And this is like really rated R. There's a lot of good, like hardcore death scenes. But at one point, someone hangs down. So I'll let you check that out.
King Shark.
And you can figure that out. But as far as what I'm playing, I just beat Ratchet and Clank on PS5, and it's fantastic. I don't want to say a perfect game, because those are few and far between, but like, it's hard for me to find complaints about something that just is so old school in like its premise, but done and executedly so well and looks so good on next gen hardware that I recommend it to anybody. If you have a PS5, it's easily going to make my top 5 games. And the other game that I was playing is a little out of my wheelhouse is Pokemon Unite, which is a MOBA on the Switch and on mobile. And I've been playing it with my buddy Gil. And I don't know if you've ever played MOBAs, but it's pretty much these, these games where you got to take these lanes, and those kind of games don't normally like stand out to me. I like narrative story, first-person games.
I've seen them. What's the big one? League of Legends, right?
League of Legends and Hearthstone, or what's the other one?
I don't know. Hearthstone's cards.
I know, but there's another one, Heroes of the Flame. What's the one that Casey plays?
Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm. So I know those are extremely popular, but the Pokemon one is kind of like an introductionary one. It's got really simple
Baby's first
mechanics.
MOBA?
Yeah, you can go, you're dumping things, you're playing your guy. So I've been playing Snorlax, and I've been playing the top lane. So if you guys have been playing it, you'll know what I'm saying. But
I actually might try that because I'm not interested in MOBAs because I don't really care for like anything that's out there. But because Pokemon's an IP I'm familiar with and I love, I'd be more interested in like, okay, cool, like I'll get in there. Again, like let's say Pokemon is baby's first RPG, then it'd be baby's first MOBA.
Dude, yeah, it definitely is for mine because you get to pick all these different characters. You get to equip them with different things. It's me and Gil have been playing on Discord, and he knows what he's doing. I'm up to like expert level 3, and I think the highest you can go is like master level 5 or something. And it's just a lot of fun. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. So that is the end of that. What we've been up to, guys. Let us know what you've been up to, what you've been playing, what you've been watching. Let us know if there's anything we should keep our eyes on. So with all that down and out of the way, let's move into our first big story, and that is that Back 4 Blood beta is now out. Now, Back 4 Blood is a co-op survival shooter from the old Left 4 Dead team that is now Turtle Rock. The open beta is running right now from August 5th to the 9th, and then I believe the public open beta is the 12th to the 16th, and you can play that on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and then it still has the release date of October 12th.
It is cross-platform, by the way. When we were playing, spoilers, we played with someone who was on PlayStation, so it worked pretty fluidly for that, as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool zombie survival game. You're playing the cleaners, which are, the players, the guys surviving, and then the ridden are pretty much all the ex-humans that are now kind of zombified. And I gotta say, it's a pretty big-ass demo. Like, we got to play quite a bit. But, Andrew, before we dive into what we played, how did you like the opening and how, the kind of hub world was? What was your first initial thoughts diving in? What stood out to you before we talk about the campaign that we did?
I really like the hub world. When you first start the game, it puts you in like this little encampment. You can kind of talk to people and they'll give you instruction or whatever. But more what I was interested in is actually for anyone who's unfamiliar or anything with that game or how it works, if you haven't played like Left 4 Dead or anything like that, there's actually like a shooting range out there. And there's every weapon in the game. I would assume it's every weapon in the game, unless they're adding more. They kept some stuff out, but there was a ton of stuff out there. Not only was there that, but there's attachments for every gun, so you can see how it works as far as scope-wise, magazine-wise, all the blunt weapons, all the grenades, all the everything. So there was just a nice, cool little shooting range, so you could go out there and actually practice. And the first thing I actually found myself doing was I felt like I was really slow and everything was just off. Even the auto-aim I felt like it was locking on just a little too weird. It wasn't going to give me the full... If I have a horde of something coming at me, it's going to jump from person to person, like auto-aim versus... maybe I could spray from left to right with an LMG or something like that.
Like I was saying, it was really cool seeing all the weapons, and there's quite a bit. The attachments and all the detachability and everything you can do was quite cool. But one of the things that is definitely standing out about this compared to other like survival FPSs is that I don't want to say they're innovative in bringing a deck building card system to it, but it's definitely what's standing out in this, because it took us a minute to kind of wrap our heads around it. Like, what's happening in the trailer and some of the old footage, but once you kind of like sit down, you got to start building up these decks. And what these decks do is, before you go into whether it's going to be the campaign or some of like the PvP options, you can start building up these decks that give you different things like 5% health, 10% ammo, and
stamina,
and things like that. So we're going to dive into the campaign, but some of the roles that they were kind of showing that were in the game that you could like kind of act as was the squad leader, the medic, the operator, and the soldier. So those were kind of like standout builds to where if you want to stack your deck to what you'd be getting, like it kind of has these builds that you can kind of follow. But I don't know, I thought the card system,
I liked it.
The more we play it, the more we'll be familiar with it. I think it's a really cool idea to keep it, to not make every run you do stale and repetitive, because every time you play it, you can either play with a new deck and you can go unlock, I don't know if you would call it the currency, but you can buy new cards to make your deck better.
Yeah, I like that too. I found that I was boosting my stamina a lot. So that way I could just cruise through everything. Because I found myself actually at the beginning using more, like I would keep one gun on me, but I would have like a machete, an axe, a hatchet, something like that. And so when everything was just getting too close, then I just start swinging, and that you needed the stamina. And I found myself not running out as much because I was like stacking those stamina cards.
Yeah, so let's get into what we actually were playing. So Andrew and I got to play the campaign, and like Andrew was saying, it's cross-platform and cross-play, so we were able to play with, I don't know what our fourth member was, because if you don't have a full team, they'll load you in with bots. But we ended up meeting up with someone that was playing on the PS5, and shout out to Batman. If he ever comes across this podcast, we were playing with him, and he was with us from Mission 1 to the end. And so it took us to Act 1, and it was 8 levels, and I gotta say, in the beginning, it felt like baby step. We were kind of like, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to blow through this shit.
I thought we'd be done within an hour.
But by the time we got to like mission 3 or 4...
3 hours later.
Yeah, we're already getting like our asses kicked, and I'm like, oh shit, we now have to strategize. And the maps are laid out quite well. It's not just a singular path of moving around. There is exploration, and there is, like, if a wave's coming, like, you need to set up and prepare and defend. So, Andrew, I know this is way more in your wheelhouse than mine. How did you feel they took those mechanics and introduced it in a new survival horror game?
Oh, yeah, no, I thought it was really good, especially I like that you bring up the point. It isn't just a steady lane. There are a couple parts where it's a steady lane. Obviously, you have the mob. But there's other times where, because there's no map, I'm just fucking wandering around trying to stay close to everybody else. But I'm like, dude, I have no fucking clue where I'm going. Like, it felt good. The shooting felt really good and precise. Again, I turned off the auto aim. I don't know if you kept that on.
I kept it on. Like? I kept it on just to see what it'd be like, because I know you weren't. I didn't really have too big of an issue. It did kind of help me aim a little bit better, but I don't think it made too big of a difference. I mean,
it seemed like it was just feeling off to me. And again, when those big hordes are coming at you and I'm spraying left to right, like it seemed like maybe that made it a little bit easier. But there's a lot of different ways you can play. I mean, I only played the classic Left 4 Dead like a little bit. I'm not like too versed in it. But again, I mean, like he's saying, you can sit there and try to fortify, because we started getting our asses kicked. We actually got knocked out, used all our continues, and had to restart over again at one point too. I think like twice in the game that happened to us. But it was actually in a one-lane spot. We tried running through it, we tried hunkering down, and then eventually we just like pushed while doing whatever, and then running the last little bit, and that ended up working for us. So that it's just, it felt great. It felt really good. It felt really tight. I never felt like if I was getting hit that it was like, oh dude, this game's like laggy, it's running like shit, or anything like that. It felt good, concise shooting. And again, anything that ever happened to me, I felt like it was my fault. It wasn't because some bullshit mechanic or the game's jumpy or I'm rubber banding or something like that. Anything that ever happened to me was 100% my fault and fair.
Yeah, what like Andrew's pointing out too is this isn't a game. I like playing a lot of games that are multiplayer like by myself. This is a game I want all 4 players to be friends of mine, and we're talking to each other and moving through, because literally in that one mission where we had to kind of run it through this lane, like, if you're not talking to people or they're not maybe pulling their weight or they're doing something else, like, you get fucked up. And we learned that the hard way quickly, because even though we were able to talk to Batman, at one point we had a bot that wasn't able to either carry its weight or revive people when they were down. And once we picked up a 4th player, you could sense the difference of how a team is actually able to be tactical on the battlefield. And again, this was one of the games I've been like hyped for the most this year. So the fact that we actually got to play it and get through the end, man, everything about it, like, I was super stoked about, and I'm really looking. And this thing's beefy, man. I can't believe we got to play, like, I don't know if they're gonna add more to it, but all of Act 1, 8 levels. I mean, this thing took me, Andrew and I, a couple hours. We started playing like at 7. I think we were done by like 11.
Yeah,
give or take.
And again, too, your whatever you're doing may vary, because that Batman guy that we ran into, everyone else kind of kept swapping in, swapping out. He actually was talking to us the whole time, and so when we were getting our ass kicked, we're like, all right, let's regroup, let's rethink this, how are we going to do this, let's try and run it this way, let's try and run it that way, let's see what's going to get us through here a lot better. So I found that was fine. I will throw out there too, like, not as a negative again, because this is just a beta, that there were some weird like party chat issues, so after a while we couldn't hear him anymore. But what was even weirder beforehand is me and Craig were in a party at first, just only trying to talk to us, and then we could hear Batman and he could hear everything we were saying to each other too.
Yeah, that was weird.
So it was super weird, because then even when my cousin joined the party, like, we could all still hear each other and I could still talk to them while talking to him, even though he's in a different game. And on the Xbox party, I should only be able to hear him. But I kind of brought that up because at first we were like, oh man, we only want to play with me and Craig. We don't want to play with other fucking people. I don't want to deal with other people or nothing like that. But once we started, that whole attitude changed. I was like, no, this Batman dude's super cool. Like, let's get someone else that's cool in here and let's just try and run this thing. Like, because I know that's exactly where we started. We're like, is there any way we can set this thing to just 2 players and just cruise?
Yeah, and I gotta say, the other thing that was really cool is once you start playing the game, and so essentially what you're doing is you're going from point A to point B, and what these are safe houses. And the safe house is pretty much where you're going to start each act or each level and move forward. And the cool thing is that they've got these cases that you can open up, and it's kind of like a shop system. So during the game, instead of just shooting zombies and moving through the level, you can start finding, you can scavenge and find stuff, or you can find their credit system. I kind of missed, I don't know if it was just gold or whatever they called it, but in the beginning of the level, you can buy new guns, you can buy med packs, you can buy grenades, because in your right system above your gun, you've got a slot for like a utility, which was like a toolkit or an ammo, and then you had a something for your heals, and then you had something for like your grenade or your pipe bombs or something like that. So I thought the way the loadout was when we were playing was, I wouldn't say you had to be conservative with what you did, but each person, like in the beginning, you need to know who's bringing the toolkit, who's bringing the defibrillator, which was something like if someone died, was a quick way to respawn them. So, you know, there was roles within roles. So, and then you could buy things for like, what was the team upgrade we kept getting? So instead of just holding one med pack, someone could buy a team upgrade, and the whole team gets to hold another one. So I don't know, mechanic-wise, I'm seeing this thing being very, very, very playable. But at the same time, again, it needs to be, in my mind, you should be playing this with either a team you're familiar with, or if you're going to jump online, make sure everybody's communicating, because there'd be absolutely no point for the fourth man to be running around and not knowing that you guys are focusing on, you know, this when he's still focusing on that. So mechanic-wise, I thought it looks good, man. I thought everything was bringing to the table was nice. And every time you get to the next safe house and you survive, you get to build another card to your deck. So whatever's in your thing, you can keep stacking. And then there's heal stations you can get. So if you're dying, not only can you use the med packs that you found, but there's stations with 4 charges. And that was some of the fun. You could ping it and be like, hey guys, I found it. I have my toolbox. Here, come in here. Let's heal up. Like, I don't know. Everything about it was like satisfying.
I like too that they have, I don't remember it being in Left 4 Dead. I think when you picked up a gun, it's just like a normal gun, and you can only, you know, shotgun, machine gun, whatever. In this, there's variants to everything. So when you're out there, it's loot like any modern, like Call of Duty or like Fortnite or something. You know, there's epic, normal, legendary, and so you'll pick up a gun that might have all these attachments that lets you load faster and do everything. Or sometimes, like, I'll pick up an M16 that has a scope I don't like, which kind of sucks, but I'll have to stand just a bit further back while I'm trying to, like, kind of pick everybody off. And then that kind of just changes how you're playing up, too. So that's also kind of playing into your variation, because if you're running out of ammo, or at some point too, I only had like a 25 round machine gun, but I just felt like it wasn't cutting it. I had to grab an LMG, so instead of me just running through and trying to beat everything to death, now I'm just really taking my time and just kind of trying to mow everything down and be that tank that the group needs.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I highly suggest if you guys can get your hands on it,
blast the whole way
do it. Some of the other features in the beta that Andrew and I didn't dive too much into, was really just checking out the campaign, was that they do, there was 2 PvE maps for co-op runs, and there was 2 maps for Swarm, which was the PvP teams, and they take turns being the cleaners and the ridden. I played a few rounds of it, and that would be to me like kind of like Call of Duty Zombies, like keep taking wave after wave because it's in rounds, and then I think you can switch to the other ones. But that really wasn't for me. Did you play that at all? Because I know some people were having a blast with it, but I really just wanted to play the campaign. That's where my focus was on.
I played one of like the survival swarms, and yeah, I mean it's pretty much almost like what zombies would be for Call of Duty or something like that. You're just trying to set up your area and just, okay, we're gonna do this to survive the swarm. And yeah, it's not really for me, and I don't think it really is. Maybe it's just the play style of this game that it's not for me. But for me, this game's just gonna be that campaign.
Yeah, it was kind of like in the swarm. I remember at the end, it was kind of like Call of Duty or like Warzone. Like at the end, it kept like this swarm would be outside and it kept shrinking down the circle. So every wave, it got smaller and smaller. So if you were fortifying like a cabin, the next round, that cabin might be
out of the zone. Yeah,
you had to keep moving around. So if that is something you like to play, then that's definitely in there for you. But for me, it wasn't, you know, the highlight of it. It was the gameplay. So that is in there. But Andrew, before we move on, the game wasn't without its faults. A couple negative things in there. Nothing game breaking for me. What stood out to you as being maybe something they need to polish?
I wrote down a couple here. I think kind of maybe, and these are like small gripes. I didn't really have too big a problem. I guess mechanically, the biggest problem maybe I had is sometimes when you're getting attacked, especially if you're shooting something, if you're standing over loot, you're going to pick up the wrong gun by accident while you're trying to reload because it's the same button. And I felt like that kind of needed to be reconfigured because that was happening a lot because they're coming into the safe house, they're coming into this room where I'm in, and I'm shooting them and I might clear it out and I'm pushing X to reload, but then I'm grabbing something off the fucking floor instead, and then that's messing me up and I got to pick up my gun again, or I'm dropping the wrong health or the grenade or whatever. And that kept happening, and I mean, it's not like it happens everywhere because, again, it's only if you're standing in an area where their loot is, but I found myself too, like, I wasn't even super close to something. I could be like arm's length away, I felt like. And then when I was pushing next to reload, like it was making me grab whatever it was that was off the floor. The only other thing that I had on here that was kind of a big gripe, and again, mechanical issue versus a smaller thing, is that Craig actually got kicked out at one point. We had a bot in, and he was not able to rejoin. Yeah. And I don't really understand why in this sort of game. I guess maybe in a way it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, you can't rejoin, especially if you're too close to the end. There should be some sort of maybe meter there that if you're not beyond 75% of whatever the chapter it is that you're on, someone can join in with your stuff. Because otherwise, me and the other dude just got stuck with two shitty bots that we just ended up kind of cruising and trying to run through the end because he wasn't able to join. The final thing I kind of had was that we were on the lowest difficulty. If you're playing on the other higher ones, there is friendly fire. You can accidentally kill your teammates, which makes sense. That's fair. I think that kind of contributes to the whole gameplay. So you're not just spraying and throwing grenades and shit like that everywhere. But when you're on the lowest difficulty, there is no friendly fire. But if I'm shooting in a direction of someone or I'm trying to help someone and they're in a horde, your person's constantly going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Watch out, man. Friendly fire. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just constantly all the fucking time. Especially if I'm spraying like a shotgun. I'm not even aiming at someone. They just happen to be there. Maybe a pellet's going off in their direction. I was like, dude, this is kind of like annoying. But that's also background noise to it. Like, I could take it. That's the smallest, gripe I could really make. Other than that, it ran well. It was a beautiful game. Surprisingly. Did you have any negatives?
Yeah, I did, but I guess now that you just said that, one thing that I would point out in like how I couldn't rejoin, I should at least be able to push out a bot. Like, I understand that if someone jumped in and filled up the slot and you had 4 players, but like if I'm trying to join your session, the bot should be kicked automatically, and then it should be able to replace with the player. So
that's what I was saying.
I'm like, why can't I just get in and they then leave?
That's what I was even saying. Even if we were like, I understand if you're at 80% done, you don't want people jumping at the end and just cruising for easy achievements or whatever, but we stopped once you got kicked and you told me we were kicked, and we waited there. We were halfway through the level, less than halfway through the level, because it wasn't really that far in, and so we stopped and waited to see if you can join in. So I know that it's not like once you're past this point, progression issue, maybe you can still join in if somehow you got kicked and we were all in the safe room. Yeah. But as far as what happened, we had to back out and then rejoin together as a group.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say that's a positive before I go to my 2 negatives is, because I don't think we mentioned it, is all the loot you pick up between the 4 different styles of guns, if someone's rocking shotgun and you have ammo for it, you can drop it. I thought that was a really cool
Call of Duty style,
that was a really cool thing. You could drop the ammo for any type of gun that anyone else is using and then ping it and let them know. So I would say the 2 things that I kind of had an issue with was kind of hard to break away from a swarm. Like, your life, like when if 4 guys are around you, because some of them are one hit killed. But it was hard to, like, if they started hitting you, to have, like, a breakaway moment.
Because it makes you go so slow.
Yeah, to get away from them, especially when stamina is consuming, like, your machete swings or just your knife stabs. It seemed kind of like, if 4 guys are on me, and I'm literally just trying to break away, like, that could kill you if you're not literally turning around and shooting them. So I'm maybe hoping later on there's just a burst that you can do, because I found myself sometimes, if you get cornered, I mean, you literally just have to start beating the shit out of all of them instead of just being like, okay, let me just run through them real quick and get past them.
I found that happening to me at one point too, and there was only like 2 people behind me, but I'm just trying to back up a little bit to help someone else. I'm like, dude, seriously, for fucking 2 people, I'm stuck and I can't run because they're hitting me in the back. I'm like, that's annoying, but I guess I get it.
Yeah, and because they are fast zombies too, so they're not just slow walking; they are running after you. The last thing I would say is some of the goals for the mission need to be either clearer or laid out earlier. Because when we were doing that boat mission and we had to find the bombs that were on the bridge, like it took almost a minute of us running around going, okay, what do we have to do? What do we need to look for? Like, either some sort of like objective goal needs to be either brighter, bigger, or more direct, or something. But again, that's small potatoes like that. I mean, eventually we figured it out, and I'm sure everyone else can and did. But to me, I think gameplay would be a little faster if we just knew instantly, oh, go here and then plant here.
Yeah, see, the problem with that one specifically we was talking about, and actually I got it running the worst, was you're running through this boat area, and you kind of make it to the top where there's this team that's ready to help you. And it's like, oh, well, now you got to plant bombs to destroy the boat and, like, detach it so that way the infected can't follow you. Whatever, okay, we had already ran through. So it says plant bombs on the sites, but it doesn't show you anything else. It shows you where the bomb sites are. So I fucking ran all the way down there, and it was at the bottom of the boat, and I'm trying to plant the shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? It's not planting. Like, I don't know if it's broken or whatever. And I'm looking at the map, and then it popped up like a few minutes later, and again, it could just be because it's beta. It's like, oh, to pick up charges, to pick up bomb, grab charge, whatever. So I'd go all the way back to the top of the boat and fight my way to the front of the ship back to where I was, grab those bombs, and then run all the way back to where I was and get down below. And this was already a spot where we had died like 3 different times.
Yeah, because a lot of this, and I will say this before we move on, because we do got to move on, is, and Andrew was kind of pointing out to me earlier, maybe the zombie selection is a little on the low end. It is kind of like the common zombies. But then I thought the bomber was good, the long arm guy, and the spitter was good. I thought out of the 3 specials, I think that's what they were calling them, the special type infected or ridden, I thought they were all pretty good.
I hope there's more.
There needs to be more, yeah. I mean, we saw the first, I mean, those are probably the guys in Act 1. I'm sure, because I think there's like 8 acts. Because when you were playing the PvE, the map would show up and it would say like Act 8, blah, blah, blah. So I think it was pulling levels from the campaign. So because I know that's what some people were complaining about. They're like, oh, it looks too stale, it looks generic. There's only, 4 enemy types? I'm like, okay, but I'm sure there's going to be 10 by the time we're done with this game. And they couldn't have showed us every enemy in the beta, so at least I'm hoping so.
I'm definitely hoping that there's more, and I mean, if not, I mean, it was still a fun game and a fun experience.
Yeah.
But I also didn't, beat myself to death with Left 4 Dead and burn myself out on that.
Yeah. So overall, man, I think Back 4 Blood is exactly what I was looking for. I think it blew more expectations than it did hinder. Because
I didn't think it was going to run good at all.
Yeah. So overall, it looks great. Is there anything else you want to add on it before we move on?
Oh, final thought.
Final thought is, if you can get your hands on the beta, play it. If not, wait till October, get your hands on it and do it. And I would just say, get a team and play it the way it's meant to be played. Don't try to solo it out like I normally would. Get a team like Andrew normally does and play the goddamn game. So, that's it for the story, guys. If you got a chance to play it, leave in the comments down below your thoughts and opinions about it. And if you guys haven't played it and want to ask a question about it that we didn't cover, feel free to do so as well. So, let's move into a little ripping it up.
I want to go first.
Go first.
Actually, I want you to go first.
Then I will go first. So, guys, my riff for today is that there is a new documentary coming out called First Person Shooter, the definitive FPS documentary. It's actually starting on Kickstarter. It started back on June 29th, and from what I can tell, it was last updated on July 26th. And what it's supposed to be showing is the 48 years of how FPS has been moving, evolving, and all the talent that's been behind it and all the games that have been emerging. And they've got over 35 of the industry's biggest influencers on this thing. When Andrew and I were looking at the talent that's behind this thing, it was like stacked. We were going through going, man, they've got everyone from Doom, Wolfenstein, Call of Duty, Halo. I mean, everybody under the sun was this. And they've also got some real good players. But let me just read a quick passage from this so you guys can kind of get a brief understanding of what it is. So it says, this 3-hour plus documentary will be packed with exclusive interviews from the greatest cast of FPS industry experts ever assembled. We have 40 plus incredible names already attached, including John Romero, Warren Spector, Cliff Bleszinski, Randy Pitchford, and Scott Miller, and many more developers, artists, and professional gamers. So I believe in the Kickstarter, I believe they've already hit their goal. But you can still go in there and check. If you guys are familiar with Kickstarter, you can pledge money to it to hit certain tiers, and then you're rewarded with certain benefits. So you can go in this and still kind of pitch the money, and you can get certain things from it. But, as someone that loves a good gaming documentary, it's kind of refreshing to see that this thing's going to be 3 hours with 40 plus people in it, and they seem to be extremely dedicated to what they want, the story that they want to tell. Because as far back at least as I can remember, Andrew, and correct me if maybe I'm wrong, but when you think of like fighting games and shooting games, they've always been kind of like the rockstar genre. It's always the ones that are like the you watch tournaments about that because when you back in my high school days, which is different from probably anyone else's, is people had to come over to play and do things like that. And,
LAN parties,
and you can't get a group of people to come over and watch you play Final Fantasy VII, but you can get people to come over and play FPS. So I think this is going to be a lot of good nostalgia for a lot of people, a lot of good memories, and I'm super excited because, like I said, the names they have behind talking about it isn't just curators and historians and lead artist design. It's the fucking guys that made it, developed it, play it, and it's the blood of this genre. So I don't know. I know you're a way bigger FPS fan than I am, but I mean, this thing for me is super exciting.
So it'll be cool to see something going, from Doom to Halo to Call of Duty to whatever, to see when stuff took off. So I like to see when you see a visual progression of something. I think it helps you to realize a lot more of what really went into it than like, okay, well now we're gonna skip past 30 years and we're gonna jump straight into just what's popular now or something like that.
And I was looking around. I don't think a release date is set for this thing yet.
It'll probably be a while.
Yeah, it just was kicking off a few months ago. So this thing, if and when it does come out, will probably be next year sometime, I'd imagine. But the moment I hear about it, I'll definitely let you guys know. So Andrew, what's on your little mind there?
My riff is definitely not as cool, but something that I'm hopeful for, and that's in a recent stock meeting. CEO Andrew Wilson, of course from EA, was asked if Battlefield was going to go back to a biannual release, and he said that yes, I got it right here. He said that we're looking at Battlefield as a more complex live service with new free-to-enter options. Now, as far as what that other stuff means, they just announced Battlefield 2042, plus they got the Battlefield portal, so maybe that's what that means. He didn't kind of really expand on that. But the fact that he's saying, okay, we're going to need to take more time on building these games, so that way we don't just put out, like, good game, bad game, or, the team gets kind of stale. So that's kind of what I really felt like happened with, Battlefield Hardline, Battlefield 1, and then Battlefield 5. I think those all came back to back, and that's kind of where, like, it lost me, whereas these games are a lot more intricate than a Call of Duty. It's not a yearly release that I look forward to. I end up playing one for a long-ass time, and then when the next one comes out, I always get it, and I sink more time into that. Even after those other ones came and went, I kind of didn't like them. I still went back to Battlefield 4 because that was the one that took the time. It took the effort to really kind of hunker down and build this thing and didn't worry about, like, fuck, we got to get it out by next year. So as long as it's got the time to bake in the oven, that's what I care about.
Yeah, I think it's smart that some of these guys... I mean, it's weird that we still live in this development cycle where other, like, big popular franchises are still not knowing how to either copy or rip off other styles and then learning the lesson. It's like not every game can be annualized like Call of Duty. Not every game can be an online, thing that has season passes. And it seems like too many people want to jump into this thing and be like, oh, well, we want to be a little bit of all of this. It's like, no, stick to what you're good at. Don't drag your name through the mud with bad things because you're trying to be innovative and try these other things. But I don't know. I like a good franchise that's gonna have time to make its own next game and not go in a year or 2 years. So I don't know. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I again, that's for me. I don't think there needs to be, and there's certain titles I can agree or disagree with because like Yakuza came out every year, but those have been good at the worst of them. Not a fucking terrible game, but I don't think there needs to be an Assassin's Creed every year. I got burnt out with Valhalla. I thought Valhalla sucked.
I thought it bit off more than it could chew. But that is the end of Riffs, guys. So we're going to move into question of the week, and it's going to be a quick one because I'm asking Andrew a question. But said question comes with a story. So are you ready for the story and then the question?
Sure, hit me with it.
Okay, hold on. Let me rise up a little. Let me rise to the occasion. So a friend of ours, Melissa Segura, friend of the show, big fan of Last Call,
neighbor,
was driving and she got pulled over. I don't remember why she said. I think it was for something like stupid. But so
probably deserved it.
I think she had it coming to her, if you ask me. So the cop that walks up to her car has a rookie cop that they're training. It's a guy and a girl training the girl. Right? They talk to her. They ask for license, registration, the standard deal. They go back. They come back and the girl goes, we're just going to give you a warning. You're free to go, yada, yada. She leaves. The male officer goes to her and goes, well, you know, the actual reason we're letting you go with a warning is because of that Last Call production sticker you have on your back windshield.
Oh, shit.
And she gives her the smile, gives her the nod, leaves. She tells me about it. I lost it. She didn't get the cop's name, but I have a few friends that are officers that,
I feel like I know
that are
who it
fans
is.
of the show. It's not, because she gave me the look of him, and it's not him.
Oh.
But, so my question, Andrew, is, do you think we finally hit the respect and the street cred level that we've always shot for with this Last Call Gaming show? Because if we're getting people out of tickets or out of being pulled over, whatever the cause is, then I think we've hit a new tier. I think we've hit a new level.
Here's what I think you should do: is the money that you would have paid for that ticket, go ahead and send it to us and help fund this show. Not really, but no, that's actually a really cool story.
It made my whole day. I was driving and I called her because she's like, I got a funny story about Last Call. I'm like, okay, I'm like, hit me with it. Tells me that, dude, I was dying. I was like, dude, fine. I'm like, I told you that sticker was gonna pay for itself 10 times over.
That's definitely, I feel like, the highlight of our stories that I've heard.
It was.
So
And
far.
I was waiting to tell you because I'm like, let me tell them on the show and get a genuine reaction about it. But yeah, I was super stoked. I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. We got recognized the Last Call. Gave her the thumbs up, and she was on her way.
Well, I think that's the pinnacle, and our sticker will probably never do anything cooler for you.
Yeah, so I'm
If
glad
it does, let me know.
Yeah, I'm glad it helped you out of a bind. But that is the end of questions. So guys, before we end it, there's just one thing we want to tease on, and then we'll elaborate in a future episode. But Andrew and I, it's been a while since we've done a giveaway, and we've kind of been thinking about what we can do. What we can physically get our hands on because of COVID. Things are tough to get, and what's fiscally responsible for the two of us to pitch in and get. And what we've landed on, and what Andrew's been able to procure for us, is an Xbox Series X, which is big news. So we are going to start another giveaway. We are gonna some lucky person is gonna get this thing. Andrew and I have decided that on the next episode, because we're gonna have a week to iron out all the details, all the dates, all the rules, and we'll make a video and we'll upload it. But next episode, we'll let you guys know exactly what the details are. But I mean, this is probably, well, no, we had the PS5, but this is easily tied with the biggest giveaway we've ever done.
For sure. I don't know. The Switch Lite was pretty big. Because we got that day one. That was a day one release, so
if you guys are interested in it, make sure that you guys watch the next episode. The next episode is going to iron out all the details for you guys to win an Xbox Series X. And with that, guys...
get those fake accounts ready.
Yeah. Let's watch those comment sections blow up. Episode 100 has came to a close, and we are done. And again, I just got to give a big shout out to you guys. Thank you for staying with us as long as it's been going, and then hopefully we can keep going another 100. Andrew, anything you want to say to the kids before we sign off?
I'm over it, and I'm retiring now.
He's retiring on top of his game. He's getting people out of cop stops. He's getting out of giving people Series X's. So guys, that is the end of episode 100. My name is Craig Prowse. That is Manager Montemayor, and until next time, cheers.
Ha ha ha!